Okay. I need to sign in too. Well. All right. The only thing is I can't figure out how to switch it.
We had to install another little manager thing. Can't remember what it was called.
I've gone through all these, and
Did you actually get the microphone to work?
no, I didn't. We're just, I think we'll. No.
Maybe your recording isn't that critical.
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe we might be able to flip it like when we edit it later. So.
Okay.
So I think.
In fact, we made a recording one time,
Mhm.
and it was wrong. And then it sat there for a while. They flipped it.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know how it went.
Okay. Should we start?
Yeah, you might remind people to sign in.
Hi, hello.
So I did the full section was second section was
Should I introduce? So how about hi? Okay, welcome to the web group. So I'm Guillermo Gassa. You guys got an email from me. I'm a lecturer in the math department. So we have some new faces.
he's the president of the ARCOA. He forgot to mention.
Well, no, they made me organizer. So I guess I'm in charge of sending the emails out, but I consider it.
No. Don't be modest. Don't be modest.
So we have some new faces. How about we go around introducing ourselves? So I'm Guillermo. I'm a lecturer in the math department. Today's speaker will be
Watkins. Mejias, I'm a linguist.
I'm Pamela Anderson Mejias. I'm also a linguist. Currently in the English department, but we're not going to have an English department at UTRGV, so we'll be something else.
Everything's up in the air,
My name is Sergio Garcia. I am a PhD student in finance. I'm graduating this year. I'll be spending a month. I do a lot of statistical programming in data, specifically econometrics programming, that kind of thing. And I'm just beginning to use our math.
I'm Tamer Gorabi. I'm assistant professor at the Department of Mathematics.
George Janner, associate professor of mathematics.
So we're going to be recording, but we're going to edit out the beginning, so you guys we won't see that. Okay. So I guess Dr. Will Watkins is going to talk about text analysis with R. I'll let him introduce what he's going to.
It's great to have you here. It's fun to have some linguists here. I am not. So, let's see if I can figure out how to make this work. I want to thank the REV group for sponsoring the event. The REV group has a web page. This program, as well as many others, are recorded there. And, things that are done both in this part of the presentation and in the R part of the presentation will be archived there. So here's what I hope to accomplish. My interest in R is that it's accessible, it's free, we ought to be having our students use it more often. There's some reasons for that. It manages big data very well. We'll look at some reasons of why text analysis and who can do it. My argument is maybe a lot of people can do this kind of stuff. There's lots of data available now. We'll be looking at kind of a case study. Michael Lockers wrote this very, very nice textbook. It's extremely accessible. It's clearly not written for technology geeks. He works through R very nice. It's a great tutorial for R, as well as doing some really nifty stuff with text analysis. And I think he is an expert, but I'm going back to this. So let's look at data for a minute. One example that mathematicians are very aware of is Tycho Brahe. Is that how his name is pronounced? Tycho Brahe, Tycho Brahe, I don't know for sure. And Johann Kepler had an interesting exchange. Tycho Brahe was an eminent scientist in his day. One time he was given an entire island for a laboratory. He had a castle there. He was well funded all during his career. He looked at science from many different standpoints. He did chemistry and astronomy and other kinds of things. As far as astronomy goes, he had his own system that he very much wanted to promote. About the last year or so of his life, he hired Johann Kepler, a mathematician, to help process some of the data. Tycho was one of the last naked eye astronomers, one of the last great naked eye astronomers. All during his life, he had gathered huge amounts of data. He spent a lot of time gathering data, and he hired Johann Kepler to help process some of that data. It was frustrating to Kepler because Brahe would restrict what he would have available as far as the data went. And then finally, after about a year, Brahe dies. There's some intrigue associated with all of that. But then Kepler literally steals the data and works on it really hard and is enormously excited about the results that he gets. He knows the place that he fits in history because people have been working for a long time to be able to describe the motion of the planets. And now he was super excited about that. This is what he said. Now, because 18 months ago in the first dawn and 3 months ago broad daylight, but a very few days ago, full sun, the most highly remarkable spectacle has risen, nothing holds me back. I can give myself to the sacred frenzy. I can have the insolence to make a full confession to mortal man that I have stolen the golden vessel of the Egyptians to make from them a tabernacle for my God, far from the confines of the land of Egypt. If you forgive me, I shall rejoice. If you are angry, I shall bear it. I am indeed casting the die and writing the book, either for my contemporaries or for posterity to read. He was so sure he was right. People had been debating how he was just sure he was right. And that was based because he had access to this huge amount of data that Tycho Brahe had biblical God to save all that time. God himself has waited 6,000 years for his work to be seen. I can wait another 100 if people take that long to read what I've got. It's kind of a dramatic comment on his part. In 2000, the Snow Digital Sky Survey began in New Mexico. Telescope there. Its archive now contains, in 2010, about 140 terabytes of information. The successor to that telescope is going to be built in Chile. It's in the process now, 2016. And it will acquire the quantity of data every 5 days that the other project has. So that comparison with what data was available in 1600 with Foray and that remarkable accomplishment kept it. Now there's this huge amount of data. Okay, so what about the text analysis? There is tons of data being developed in text analysis, being captured in the digital age. Emails, tweets, text messages, Kindle Mover project. Today, in a few minutes, we'll grab some of the project. Digital documents exist for almost all transactions. I'm having a real hard time seeing this down here. The use of some examples of text analysis, the use of social media has been very helpful in handling emergencies. Haiti had this SMS project where people could just text in urgent concerns. There's some controversy associated with it, but nevertheless, there were some other real accomplishments.
I think so.
There are organizations like the International Association for Forensic Linguists. Here's an example that happened a little while ago. You know the Doc Milk ad with the milk mustache. They did a 2-year project. Here's the name of it, where they monitor Spanish language tweeters and gather and analyze data about what they were doing for breakfast. You can read more about that. This file and also the file that I'll use in R, the website, all of them have active links in them. So you can go and look at the references. Guillermo Garza, our president, alerted me to some text analysis regarding Downton Abbey. It's really kind of fun. Okay, but it did. These particular charts in that article are very reminiscent of our. Yes, they did some of their analysis.
They did. They used a package called Ngrammer to interact with Google's Ngram service, which looks at word combinations, and then they used a package called ggplot to create that.
So they were looking at 2-word combinations to capture some. It's kind of a fun read, actually. One of the problems whenever we do this kind of thing statistically is that we've got to worry about munging the data. And how do you take this kind of free-flowing stuff, something that's free-flowing as text, and be able to put it in a situation that you can manage it statistically. And so that's something that R does this nicely. R allows us to do some exploratory kinds of things that black box kinds of things don't do quite so well. And we're back to an example. I'll be taking a lot of my examples from today. So, R is pretty powerful. This is a commercial company that does some things with R and advertises effectively. Here's what R is. It's a command line, very interactive programming language. So you don't have to write the whole program. You can just go in and throw in one command line and it gives you immediate feedback. That invites exploration and supports exploration. So that ability to experiment and explore is really kind of powerful. Because R is a command line language, then it's really easy to record those command lines, maybe just in some text file, maybe in a word processing file, essentially. And so then it's easy to go back and see what you've done or to share what you've done with somebody else and let them follow right along. That kind of document we refer to as a script. And there's some really nice advantages to that kind of environment. Tracking down. There are some packages that integrate a text editor with R quite nicely today. We'll be using R Studio as our example. Okay, so now I'll shift from the traditional PowerPoint to a script. So R does a lot of other things. There's a big window over here that some things happening. But for our mindset, just think of this up here as kind of like a little word processor, text editor, where I'll do is keep track of stuff. This is actually R down here. So we can put any interactive command in there. I've recorded up here some efforts to do this analysis. I'm going to ask R to go to the internet, to go to the Gutenberg project and that is great. So I could just copy that particular command and paste it down here. And let it run. It's just going to scan this particular document. It's not hard to, it looks kind of cryptic first, but all it is doing is telling it to go and scan this document. It's going to consider the data that's coming in as character data, and it's going to separate that character data by the end of lines. So every time there's an end of line, it will make a break. So it went there, and there are 6,048 lines in Gutenberg's version of that. Now, the problem with that is, so now we've built this little object called text Agnes Gray, and we could look at the entire thing, 6,000 lines. If I pressed enter there, it would show me all 6,000 lines. But let's just explore maybe the first 20 lines. So a lot of this really isn't the text. It's all the stuff about root and verb and the title. Those kinds of things. In the first 20 lines, we haven't even gotten any text yet. So the first thing that I want to do is to be able to strip that metadata off, and be able to just look at what's there. So somehow I hunted around and discovered that the text starts at line 29. I'll show you that. If I look at line 29, then there's the first chapter. And then I hunt around, there's some metadata at the end. That's where the end stuff goes. So once that's discovered, data scientists are consistently saying that it usually takes about 80% of the research time just munching the data, being able to clean it up to the point that we can work on it. So that's a lot of what we're doing at this particular point. Just working away at that. The nice thing about our studio is that you can just highlight something that you want to run that's been in your script, and you can just run it by just clicking it. The reason I can't do it is that I haven't started running. We're going to do all of that and rebuild something called Agnes Gray that's just going to take the text Agnes Gray that we read in, and it's only going to look at the stuff from the starting number to the end. So we're cleaning up the data. So now we've got Agnes Gray. I can come down here to R and just look at Agnes Gray. Agnes Gray 1 now. The first line of Agnes Gray is that chapter reference. I could ask what the length of Agnes Gray is. At this point, I'm trying to illustrate how that this exploration and experimentation is just really kind of easy. Look at the PCO stuff. So now we've got 572 lines. If I looked at that last line, should be the last line of text. Agnes Gray. I can either type in the 57 print. So that's how she ends her book. Now I think I have said sufficient. I kind of like that in action. All right. So it's actually a fun book. So I'm going to switch from Agnes Gray to Moby Dick here and do some of the same things, but rather than walk all the way through this script file will be there. And notice that the nice thing about a script file is that you can put these notes in there explaining to yourself what it was that you had done. In our analysis today, we're going to strip out all of the chapter headings so that we're just looking at the text. That probably is not the best thing to do because there's some advantage to paying attention to the way the author has chunked some information. I'm going to look at my my example today is not an earth shattering. I'm just going to look at the correlation with some information in what we did. But you can read through here and read the explanation. I would say I'm worried about some fun things that were shown up. My research here, funny characters that were showing up that I want to worry about. So there's ways of collapsing the lines. Let's go to Moby Dick. Fine. You can get this file. You can run it yourself. Experiment with some things. There's something called a zip fly. It says something about in any corpus of text, the word that's used the most often, the next word that's used the next most often will have a certain ratio to that first one. Supposedly some rules about that. And so it's kind of interesting to ask the question. All right. So let's go and get Moby Dick now. And we're going to cut around and do some cleaning up. Let me just run that much out of it. We could run those lines one at a time, or the nice thing about a script is once you come back to re-examine the research. Okay, so in comparison to, I can't remember what there were, something like 7,000 lines in 6,000 or 7,000 lines in practice grade. This book's a little bit longer. 7,000 lines. You need to worry about cleaning up the metadata before the chapter. So we found out where things were and just threw away the stuff in front, threw away the stuff in the back.
I'm sorry, before you continue, what kind of data structure are you putting it into? Is that I just don't remember, is it matrix or a series of vectors?
It's essentially a vector. We pull it in as a vector, and each of the characters are data structures. In this part of my scripts, I'm using a notation that a dot V means that this thing is a vector. Dot L will be a list, and a dot T will be a table.
And that's your personal choice to keep it in mind, or is that something that's really common in R?
I don't know for sure. The authors do. And I thought, yes, that's kind of cool. There are some nice, well, there are some nice things that you can do at any particular time in your session. You could look at a list of the things that we've built so far. There's that Agnes grade we have built. There's the text Agnes grade we have built. And then I ran a bunch of script lines in the last few minutes that grabbed a bunch of other little pieces of things. I wasn't using that notation. You can look at the structure of one of these things. Let's look at vector, and it tells us that that's a vector that has 20,000 items in it. There's an example of the first one, and there's the second one. And each of these objects is a vector of characters. once something is built, you can do things like string and other kinds of things. Okay, there's a little bit more cleaning up to do. The last word in Moby Dick is orphan. So here what I'm trying to illustrate at this particular point, I'm trying to find the end of the book so I can get rid of the metadata of the other end. And there is the previous prison, service after children, and we found another book. And then there's this metadata that I wanted to get rid of. So I'm very interested in knowing where that ending is. So I needed to clean the metadata out of the front and the metadata out of the back. Now I'd like to remove the chapter headings. I'm not sure that that's the best thing to do right now in this presentation. So I've got just all the words that are there. So here's the command that we're doing that with. We're doing a grep command. We're looking for all the times the chapter with anything else begins. That's a nice thing about the Gutenberg chapters. They're all capitalized chapters. So I'm going to build that. There goes my okay. Oh, there it is. Part of my script is missing there. I'm sorry. Here's the problem. My workflow is something right in here. I must have run something one time. If I run that, and then if I come back to here and just press and enter, then all of a sudden I've lost that part of the script. It's going to be our professionals can probably help develop the workflow.
So it looks like you haven't saved yet. So maybe if you can revert back to the file that you had.
I don't know whether I damaged that before this particular moment.
Oh, okay.
Or thank you. That's a good suggestion. Okay, so there's another information session.
Well, no, it looks like it's the same file. If you notice, it's in red.
Close without saving.
Yeah, you can do that.
This one?
Yeah.
Close it.
Put it on.
Yeah.
Don't say. Truly unfortunate. The punchline of today's presentation is going to be really dramatic. I wasn't getting to anything really, really meaningful, but I was getting to the point that we look at when the author used the word well, when the author used the word and then produced, I will put the right stuff back in here. And then that will be available on the website so you can write it yourself. And then produced a dispersion graph. And what the dispersion graph looked like, it just looked like the timeline of the novel, and then it just put a bar every time the word well was used for the well dispersion graph, and a bar every time Ahab was used for the Ahab dispersion graph. And then look at those two dispersion graphs right next to each other. There appears to be an inverse relationship there. When well is used, Ahab is not. When Ahab is used, well is. Not a perfect.
What is Ahab? What's the meaning of Ahab?
Ahab, that's a guy's name. So he's a critical character in the story. And well, seem to have a bit of conflict. So there appears to be that correlation. So the thing that I was hoping to dramatically display is that here was an opportunity to do some exploration and to do some possible discovery. The question then is, how strong is that apparent correlation? And so the next part of that's where, I ran this at 10 o'clock this morning. And I must have just
The
wiped
moral
out
of this story is don't practice too much.
that. or
Practice carefully.
yeah, practice more carefully. Yeah, actually, I work with a text processor and R separately. I'm always cutting and pasting. I'm just learning how to use our studio. These other guys can walk through our studio like that. Have a flop. So the punchline that I was getting at is here we've discovered something that appears to be a relationship, and now we can actually make a conjecture. Okay, is there a correlation? How strong is that correlation? So let's chop up that into some pieces. Chapters would have been a good way to do it. The way that I was going to do it for this demonstration was just take the timeline, how many words there are, and just chop it up into so many thousand words at a time. See how often in that first group Ahab appears, and see how often in that first group 12 appears, and just literally do a dot plot of those two variables now. And then look at the correlation coefficient. Get some statistics of that. Now, I know that literature-wise, that's not an earth-shaking discovery, but I believe that Joffers is a case study of the fact that R is manageable and easy to use. Clearly, the students are bright people, but they're probably not mathematicians or statisticians or computer geeks. But yeah, they're very capable of
But to me, a more interesting question two books by the same author to compare the use of one word and kind of prove that the authorship is the same. Because I remember when back in Bulgaria, like 20 years ago, I had a colleague and she got some, it was kind of scholarship in England, and she came back and she was talking about such questions because, of course, you know better, there are many novels people fight and don't know who the author is, right? Especially ancient Greek text from other things.
Was Shakespeare really Shakespeare?
Statistically, yes, statistically, she was trying to run some tests, but this was before and before all this computer revolution. So now I think when you talk about this, I'm more interested not comparing the use of two words within one book, but say the same word with two books.
Joffers actually does some things like that with the students. For example, you might take a collection of the famous novels that were written around the same time as Moby Dick, American novels, and say there's some things you can compare about.
You can even build that profile for authors with the most frequently used words and phrases.
I have a question. I don't do this kind of data because I'm not really English, I'm a linguist. But I've collected over the last 30 years a corpus of language from this area. Let us say that I put this corpus, have it a number of interviews done in Word or whatever. And I want to know about the code switching. Is there a way in this program where I can indicate, show me all the instances where you have one word in Spanish and follow word in English or vice versa? If that's possible, then I can compare from, say, a first generation speaker of English who just came over and is learning English as a second language, to a third generation, someone who's been here, to a fifth generation, someone like the big Guerra, the land grant families, Gary, all those guys out in Rio Grande City, and I can compare their usage. Is that possible in this?
Yeah.
I don't care.
You're getting close to some of the stuff that we can only do. Google, Facebook, and Twitter, they do this kind of thing all the time, and they use it by building dictionaries. So basically, you build a dictionary that you know, the American Standard Dictionary of English, and the choice of appropriate dictionary in Spanish, and then it would probably take some time, some computational time, but you just do a word comparison between the word to word structure. You get a word in the interview, and then you see if it's in this one, or if you see if it's in that one, it'll return to you a true or false statement.
So, but it's not going to be able to tell me that there are 7,332 instances of switching in this document.
Yes. Well, then you will now have 1, 0, true, false, true, false, true, false, true, false, true, 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 false, 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 false. And you look at a series of true or English, 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 Spanish, 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 and then depending on how
True falses, that's what I mean.
then how often it switches from true to false, how often it switches from false to true, and so on. So Facebook, for example, does this a annual. I use this in the econometrics class.
at least my professor does. And, they look at all the happy words and all the sad words. And so they aggregate all the happy words like joy or whatever, and all the sad words like sad, suicide, or whatever that people are putting on their Facebook account, and they do a litmus test of day-to-day words that are being published by everybody. They can tell you the happiest days of the year. And so there's this great, if I had a little bit of time preparation, I would have brought it. And so there's this great chronological, it's great for econometrics, right? So, you know, this is the normal status. And Thanksgiving, there's a huge spike of happiness and joy. And it goes back down, and then it keeps going. And on Christmas, there's a huge spike of happiness and joy. And it goes back down. And so it's the same thing. Once you build a dictionary of whatever it is that you want, you can count or test to see if whatever word you're interested in is in either or any other dictionary.
So
Their Barbara was better. Sorry, but
Yeah,
some
and
other things are more user friendly for linguistic. In
you
that
do-
case,
if you could get a group of people to work on a project like that, there's actually the high computational center here on campus, and since R is free, they can put it on the big machines that we have here, and they'll run it for you. I did something very similar with MATLAB because that just happened to be what they have, and I'm not a MATLAB guy, but I had to rewrite everything from MATLAB, blah, 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 and then just shoot it over to those guys and let the big machines do the work for you. Yeah. Oh yeah, Robert Jackson will. And then Robert will help you write the code too, I'm sure.
Well, that's good because I've understood about maybe 1/8 of what you're talking about.
So by the way, I mean, we can, you know, I have a proposal. Maybe we can do that for our next meeting. You know, we can, you can supply the data to us, and then maybe one of us, I would volunteer. We can try to do what you're doing, what you're asking.
I like that volunteer.
I wouldn't mind if you give me a little project. So you know, not something huge,
30 some years of
but you know, some of your data,
Yeah.
some of your data,
we give you like 5 pieces or something. You can take a look at it.
something small,
Statistics.
please.
I have to find time for that. It's very interesting, and I'm very sorry, but I have to conduct a meeting here in 10 minutes, so I'm going to take off. But thanks for inviting the linguists.
Okay, no problem.
So,
No
and
problem.
there are other linguists who might be interested also in forensics and all that stuff. So we appreciate it. Now you mathematicians can talk math stuff that we don't understand.
So if you're interested, you know,
It's nice to meet you. Okay.
you can
You get
email.
home?
Yeah,
Yeah, you're the one who sent the message
Yes.
to Duran.
Mhm.
Thanks.
sure.
Bye, you're okay.
So by the way, you were mentioning about comparing two authors. So in one of the websites that you mentioned, that Dr. Watkins mentioned about Downton Abbey, they looked at anachronisms in different texts, and if you look at the anachronisms from authors writing about some different periods, you can group them into different groups. Like you can identify authors that way by the anachronisms they use. And so they have a nice plot where I'm not sure what it looks like. Can we go to that webpage?
The most recent incident is Harry Potter, the author of Harry Potter.
Yes.
You know that story? She wrote another story and she used an alias. She didn't want to use her author name again, so she want to see if she will succeed in the other detective story. And we got here, we knew that she's the author of the
Yes, this comes to last week I had a conversation with the publisher, and they had this Scholar One piece of software. When you submit your paper, right, and they automatically generate response and review and all kinds of things. One of the options was for plagiarism, when you copy from other paper. And she said that they had this option, and if I want, they can turn it on. I was wondering how this works with mathematics. We all use X and Y.
I have it in Blackboard, by the way. But yeah, I have it in Blackboard. I asked my students something to see a sign, and then it gives me a report, make search over the Yeah, just ask them to submit to save a sign. Save a sign.
Based on something like just comparison.
This is what I was mentioning. This is Georgian drama literature and linguistic language. So I looked at the types of different dramas that are set in the Georgian period. So, Downton Abbey and Gosford Park, they were written by Julian Bell, the same author. Heartbreak House. Grouped the most common animalisms by, I'm not sure exactly what they did, but somehow they were able to distinguish between.
Yeah, they're clusters, right? They are kind of cluster analysis.
Yeah, they were able to distinguish between the different texts. So these two are close together because they were written by the same author. This one has the least number of anachronisms because it was written by an author in the Georgian period. What was said these have the most anachronisms. The authors they were writing at a time most distant from that period. The modern authors writing about a period of time. And then this was in GG plot, and the analysis was all done in R. We used a package called N-Grammar to compare.
I'm sorry, say it again. What was the name of the package?
N-Grammar. So it's N-Gram and R. They use that to access Google. Google has a big website called N-Gram where you can where it will quantify how many times a two-word sequence appears in a certain period of time. So some phrases that we use now, they didn't used to exist in the past. So we use those two phrases. Yeah, like that.
Another question for novels, I think you see lots of editing, time, there's no misspelling. But on Twitter, the same word with the same meaning might have zillions of words. How can one handle this?
That's one of the questions the author addresses in his book. Supposedly you're interested in Ahab is referred to in the story. In his presentation, I was just saying when the word Ahab appears, that could show up in a lot of other ways. He, him, lots of pronouns and other kinds of things.
One of them does a dictionary for that word, like wheel, David Maynard, or make all the possibilities.
Synonyms,
Yes.
Yeah, right. I use this when you go online, you can look for synonyms.
Is it possible to like join a dictionary with the R package or R? So it can use synonymous to the word whale if there's any analysis, or I have to do that manually.
True.
Well, you can use a list as a dictionary and create the list as an object.
So like import a dictionary somehow and
Well,
Or the source.
Yeah.
The list is an object in R. The list could be your.
Can I do this automatically? Yes. Don't do it.
I'm sure.
Spelling dictionary. If you're using LaTeX in Linux, then Linux has a dictionary you use LaTeX in Word, and you got to go and get Linux dictionary or somebody else's, and of course, you might just attach it. But those spelling dictionaries
What's the size? I misspelled.
So
Word will might be misspelled, but meaning it. Right? That's one thing.
The engines already exist. So, okay, if you've written this word, then probably
Yeah.
yeah.
Spell checkers maybe.
so
You can include a dictionary and spell checker like the word one can make suggestions and specific searching.
so you know when you mistype something in Google, it makes a suggestion. So
Yes.
Google's built what you're asking.
Yeah.
We should ask them to provide that.
Yeah.
Spell checking dictionary.
Yes.
It can be designed with R.
Yeah, because you see, it's just a text file. So you could do just like we did in reading in Moby Dick. You just scan in the file. They'll ready to supply them in the words.
How often do you guys meet?
About every 4 weeks. We used to meet every 2 weeks, but now every 4 weeks. So should we talk about our next meeting? Okay. Our next meeting would be in about 4 weeks. So that would make it the 30th. The 30th. Would that be a good day? It would be the last meeting we have for the semester.
I might be out of town.
Well,
That would be cool if we could follow up on.
yeah, I'd like to, because I'd like to because I can think of a simple way to do it for the simplest case. I can think of a way to do it for the simplest case, what she's asking. I think that might be a good demonstration for the linguists, what we can do, or what R can do.
Thanks, everyone.
Good job. Just missing one line.
Yeah, right. I walked myself through the process this morning. Somebody shut this down or clean it up?
So we shut it down or leave it up?
Let's go ahead and leave it on. There's another event right now. I believe we're supposed to do another event. You get a copy of those names?
Yes, I did.
We just have to have a meeting report.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Nice to meet you.